It's all too a familiar cycle. Shooting, protest, trial. This week, protesters clashed with police over the death of Daunte Wright in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, just outside of Minneapolis. The incident happened about 10 miles from where Officer Derek Chauvin is on trial for the death of George Floyd, a death that led to calls for police reform. Well, now Maryland lawmakers have passed what some are calling landmark legislation. Could it be a model for the rest of the country? Dr. Rashawn Ray is a sociologist and David Rubenstein Fellow in Governance Studies at the Brookings Institution. We first spoke with him right after the killing of George Floyd. Dr. Rashawn Ray, so nice to see you again. Let's talk about the accomplishments of the legislation in Maryland.
Well, the Maryland Police Accountability Act did a series of things. The big one coming out of it is that it repealed the Law Enforcement Bill of Rights. The way I think about LEBOR is that it oftentimes leads to qualified immunity going on steroids. It makes it extremely difficult to remove bad apples. It provides a series of protections from them, even if they're convicted of other crimes while not on duty, and then also provides a series of protections when they're on duty. So that's the big thing. The other part, of course, that people are focusing on is the part that focuses on juveniles, that is now limiting the ability for juveniles to be tried as adults. Why is that important? Well, we know that disproportionately young Black males are the ones that are overwhelmingly tried as adults. About 80%, not just in the state of Maryland, but also across the country.
Before I get to what was left on the table in that legislation that you were hoping to get and did not, I want you to first explain to me the use of force provision, because that's both important and kind of complicated.
In the state of Maryland, the bar for what was considered reasonable was lower than other places. They have now increased that, making it where it's not simply where an officer can say that they were pursuing a suspect, but instead their life or others have to definitely be in physical danger for them to be able to use force.
There are lots of things that were left on the table, didn't make it into the legislation. Can you talk about what was left behind?
I think the big thing that was left off is failure to report. This is essentially a whistleblower's doctrine. Like, we would expect for officers to blow the whistle if they see bad behavior. So part of what some of the senators were trying to do is they were trying to create a failure to report legislation that penalizes people who don't report. And then the big part added on to that was to protect those officers by having a statewide agency or investigative group that receives the complaints to investigate it.
Do you think that this legislation in Maryland is a model for the rest of the country?
I think part of what Maryland has done can be used as a model. We still need more political will, but dealing with the Law Enforcement Bill of Rights is big. Dealing with juveniles not being tried as adults is big. There are a lot of states getting on board with that. And then mandating at the state level that we have community oversight boards is big, but it's not just about mandating, it's about the implementation of that. And so, yes, I do think that Maryland can be used as a model. I think that the state legislature should be applauded for what they've done, but they also realize there's a lot more work to do.
Dr. Rashawn Ray, thank you as always. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you.